Before we begin, drop a comment below with your country and what time it is right now where you're watching. Whether it's sunrise in Nairobi, midnight in New York, afternoon in Canada, or evening in France, I want to know. Don't just sit back. Tell me where in the world you are. Now, let's dive into the story. Maris Winter's head dropped softly against Ardenvale's shoulder, right there in front of the entire Silver Crest pack. Gasps broke through the night like cracking ice. The great fire at the center of the clearing spat sparks into the dark sky, each ember seeming to freeze midair as every wolf turned toward her. She had fallen asleep during the mating ceremony on the Alpha's shoulder. The Alpha, whose presence alone could silence storms, stood motionless, his amber eyes locked on the moon above. He didn't shove her away. He didn't growl. He simply looked. Still. Around them, whispers rose like rustling leaves. She disrespected him. She's cursed. He'll tear her apart. But Arden said nothing. His breath was calm, his chest steady beneath her cheek. Maris's lashes fluttered. She didn't mean to sleep. Gods, no. But the chanting, the incense, the heat of the fire, the exhaustion from days preparing herbs for the ceremony, it all blurred together. And in that moment of weakness, she'd done the unthinkable. She drifted off against the Alpha himself. Paragraph 2, the humiliation. When she awoke, the world was silent. Every gaze burned into her like iron. Arden's voice, deep and slow, broke through the tension. You rest easily, little healer. It wasn't anger. It was worse. Curiosity. She stumbled backward, mortified, her braids slipping over her shoulder. The high priest's eyes gleamed through his wolf mask. Maris Winter, he said, his voice echoing across the clearing. The moon has chosen her resting place. Perhaps it speaks. The council murmured, uneasy. Arden's jaw clenched. He wasn't supposed to be touched during the ritual, let alone used as a pillow by a low-born healer's apprentice. Maris tried to speak, but her throat closed around the words. Seren Lorne smirked from across the ring, her golden dress glinting like envy itself. Maybe she thinks she's already Luna, Seren said, loud enough for all to hear. Laughter rippled through the crowd. Maris's knees trembled. The world spun in shame and heat. But through it all, Arden's gaze stayed on her, unreadable, like the forest before a storm. Arden stepped forward, the firelight tracing the scars along his neck, proof of battles that built him. Enough, he said, and the laughter died instantly. He reached down, lifting Maris's chin with a single finger. You fall asleep on the Alpha during the moon's choosing. Either you're foolish, his voice dropped lower, intimate, or brave enough to test fate itself. Maris couldn't breathe. The heat of him was too close, his scent heavy with cedar and rain. I'm sorry, she whispered, barely a breath. It wasn't... Sorry? His eyes flickered gold for a heartbeat. The moon doesn't make mistakes. He turned to the council. If the moon found comfort in her presence, then I'll honor it. Shock rippled through the pack. The high priest bowed his head, uncertain. Seren's lips parted, furious. Arden's decree was final. Maris had not just embarrassed herself, she had been chosen. Chosen by the Alpha himself. The ceremony drum resumed, slower this time, pulsing like a second heartbeat. Somewhere deep inside her, Maris felt something awaken, something ancient. As the pack dispersed, torches dimming against the night, Maven Crest appeared from the shadows, her gray eyes sharp as winter. The moon marked you tonight, she murmured, clutching Maris's wrist. You felt it, didn't you? Maris swallowed, her skin still tingling where Arden's hand had brushed her. It was just exhaustion. No, Maven said firmly. That was no sleep. That was the call. The word throbbed in the air like a warning. The call. The same legend mothers whispered to pups about soul-bound pairs drawn by destiny, not choice. Maris shook her head. That can't be. I'm no one. That's what makes it dangerous. Maven's gaze darted toward the alpha silhouette disappearing between the trees. Arden Vale lost his mate to the Bloodfangs. If the moon dares to choose again. She let the thought hang, heavy as fog. Maris felt her pulse in her throat. Fate didn't choose healers. Fate didn't choose her. But tonight, beneath the full moon's silver fire, fate had. Later, alone by the river, Maris knelt to wash her face, watching the water tremble around her fingers. The reflection staring back didn't look like the timid apprentice she'd been that morning. The night had changed her. Behind her, the air shifted, soft, deliberate steps approaching. "You're not supposed to be out here," came Arden's voice, deep and rough. She turned slowly. He stood barefoot on the rocks, the moon gilding his dark hair, his shirt open at the collar. "I couldn't sleep," she whispered. "Neither could I," he said, stepping closer until his shadow touched hers. "The pack thinks you insulted me. The council wants your banishment." He paused, eyes burning amber. "But I think the moon sent you for a reason." The river roared quietly between them. Maris's heart hammered. "And what reason is that?" His lips curved, not quite a smile. "To wake what's been dead inside me." Before she could speak, a wolf's howl split the air, piercing, desperate. From the north woods, Arden's face hardened. "Bloodfangs," he growled. Then, without hesitation, he shifted. Massive, black, unstoppable, and vanished into the trees. Maris Winter ran through the trees barefoot, her lungs clawing for air. The howls tore through the forest in waves, closer every second. The scent of smoke laced the wind, sharp, metallic, wrong. Her heart thundered as she caught flashes of silver fur darting between shadows. Bloodfangs. The rival pack hadn't crossed Silvercrest borders in years, not since the Treaty of Ash. Yet now their growls echoed like a death chant beneath the moonlight. Somewhere ahead, Alpha Arden Vale fought to keep them from breaching the pack grounds. Every roar, every snap of bone and cry of rage belonged to him. She could feel it like fire in her veins. She stumbled into the clearing by the old watchtower, clutching a pouch of crushed wolfsbane. Maven's last command still rang in her head. "You're a healer, child. Heal what you can, but stay hidden." But hiding wasn't an option anymore. The scent of blood filled the night. She found Corin Hale on the ground, his leg torn open, his breath shallow. "Maris," he groaned, his eyes rolling back. She dropped beside him, pressing her palms to his wound. Power pulsed under her skin. Wild, hot, alive. The ground seemed to hum. The blood stopped flowing. Corin gasped, his body jerking upright as if pulled by invisible strings. Maris froze. That had never happened before. Her hands trembled. Healing never felt like that. Not burning, not electric, not alive. It was as if something inside her had awakened with the ceremony's touch. Arden's touch. But before she could think, a deep snarl echoed behind her. She turned slowly, her heart plunging. Thornvex stepped into the firelight, his eyes like glacial steel. The Bloodfang Alpha, his smile was calm, almost kind. "So it's true," he murmured. "Silvercrest's little healer carries the moon's mark." He tilted his head, studying her. "You fell asleep on the Alpha's shoulder, yet you awakened mine." Maris rose, fists clenched. "You're trespassing." "I'm claiming," Thorn said softly. "Don't you feel it? The pull? The same curse that binds him to you binds me, too. But mine came first." Maris shook her head, backing away. "You're lying." His gaze softened. "I wish I were." He stepped forward, and suddenly she caught a glimpse, a flicker in his eyes like a memory not his own. A moonlit pool, a woman's scream, silver hair, blood and claws. "Your mother," he said, his voice dark with regret. "She was one of us." The world tilted. "No. Ask your healer, Maven. Ask her why your scent carries Bloodfang blood." He could have attacked her then, but he didn't. He looked almost mournful. "He doesn't know, does he? Arden doesn't know what you are." Before she could answer, an enormous shadow crashed through the brush. black fur, golden eyes blazing. Arden. He slammed into Thorn, claws flashing, the earth shaking under their fight. Maris stumbled back as they tore through the clearing, fury and history colliding in snarls and blood. Arden's power was terrifying, a blur of muscle and precision, but Thorn moved like smoke, each strike deliberate. They were not fighting over land. They were fighting over her. Thorn broke away long enough to shout, "You can't protect her from what's in her blood." Arden lunged again, teeth sinking into his shoulder. "She's mine to protect," he snarled, voice half human, half beast. Thorn's eyes burned with something like sorrow. "Then you'll damn her to the same fate that killed your sister." The name, Nyra Vale, fell like thunder. Arden hesitated. It was enough. Thorn vanished into the trees, wounded but alive. The forest fell silent except for Arden's heavy breathing. His wolf form trembled before he shifted back, blood streaking his chest. His eyes, still burning gold, met hers. "You shouldn't have been here." Maris wanted to scream, to demand answers, but the words tangled in her throat. "He said—" "I heard what he said." Arden's voice cut like frost. "And you will forget it." He moved closer, towering, the scent of blood and pine surrounding her. "You don't know what those monsters are capable of. What they did to my family." "And what about mine?" she whispered. "What if he's right? What if I—" "Enough." His hand closed gently, almost tenderly around her wrist. "You are Silvercrest now. Whatever came before is gone." His tone softened. "Do you understand?" She nodded, though her heart screamed otherwise. His gaze lingered, conflicted, then he turned away. "Go to Maven. Stay there until dawn." And before she could speak, he was gone again, swallowed by the forest. The silence that followed was deafening. Maris stood alone beneath the bleeding moon, the trees whispering her name like a warning. Her pulse still hummed with the power she couldn't explain. She pressed her palms to her chest, half expecting to see them glowing. Thorn's words replayed again and again. "You awaken mine." If that was true, if she carried Bloodfang blood, then her connection to Arden was more than fate. It was danger. From somewhere deep in the woods came a low, wounded growl. Thorn's voice, distant but alive. This isn't over. And though she wanted to deny it, a part of her knew. He was right. By the time she returned to Maven's hut, the night had quieted. The old healer was already waiting, candles flickering against the walls. "You saw him," Maven said, not as a question. Maris sank onto the stool, shaking. "He said my mother was one of them." Maven's eyes darkened. "There are truths the moon hides until it's ready." "And now?" "Now," Maven whispered. "It's ready." She unrolled a small strip of hide, revealing a pendant. Silver, etched with a crescent and a claw. "Your mother left this the night she died. I hoped the moon would spare you her path, but it seems destiny runs in blood." Maris touched the pendant, her throat tight. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because love blinds even the moon, child," Maven said softly. "And what comes next will demand more than love." Maris looked toward the window, where the forest stretched endlessly into shadow. The air still hummed with Arden's presence, with Thorn's haunting words, with the call of something ancient inside her. The night wasn't done. Not yet. The night after the raid, Silvercrest was silent except for the distant crackle of torches. Smoke drifted across the valley, painting the stars in gray haze. Maris Winter stood alone at the edge of the healing grounds, her hands raw from tending to the wounded. Her body was weary, but her thoughts wouldn't rest. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Thorn's face, his eyes, the way he had spoken her name like a confession. Bloodfang blood, the words pulsed in her skull. She looked down at the pendant Maven had given her. The silver caught the moonlight, gleaming faintly as though alive. "What are you?" she whispered. A low breeze stirred her hair, carrying the faintest scent of cedar and rain. Arden. Her pulse stumbled. She didn't have to turn to know he was behind her. The air always changed when he was near, heavier, slower, like the forest itself bowed in recognition. Arden stepped from the shadows, bare-chested, the wounds from the fight already closing. The moonlight found the lines of his muscles, the scars across his shoulders, the exhaustion in his eyes. "You shouldn't be out here," he said quietly. "It's past curfew." She didn't answer. "You didn't come to me for healing," she said instead. He gave a small, humorless smile. "I heal differently than most." His gaze dropped to her hands. "You used power last night. I could smell it on you." Maris's throat tightened. "I didn't mean to." "Power never needs permission," Arden said. "Only control." He took a step closer, his presence overwhelming. "Tell me what happened." She hesitated, then spoke the truth. "When I touched Corin, the wound closed. It wasn't me, it was like something inside me took over." Arden's eyes darkened. "That's not Silvercrest healing. That's something older." He reached out, brushing her wrist. "Do you trust me, Maris?" The question stole her breath. "I want to," she whispered. His touch lingered, warm and steady. "Then I'll help you find out what you are." They walked through the forest together, past sleeping tents and still fires, until the trees opened to a hidden glade. In the center stood a monolith of obsidian carved with ancient runes, its surface alive with faint light. Arden stopped before it, his expression unreadable. "This is the stone of memory," he said. "It remembers bloodlines. It remembers truth." He turned to her. "If Thorn spoke lies, it will show that too." Maris stepped forward, her heart pounding. "What do I do?" "Place your hand on the mark." She swallowed, pressing her palm to the cold stone. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the ground hummed. The carvings blazed gold. Pain shot through her arm, cold, electric, endless. She gasped, light flaring behind her eyes. Images flooded her mind. A woman with silver hair running through fire, a baby crying, a wolf with eyes like hers, and a voice, soft, broken, whispered, "Forgive me, my moon child." When the vision shattered, she fell to her knees. Arden caught her before she hit the ground. He held her close as she gasped for air. The world flickered between light and shadow. "What did you see?" he demanded. Tears streaked her face. "My mother. She was running from Bloodfangs. She had me in her arms. She said she loved someone she shouldn't have." Arden's grip tightened. "Who?" "She didn't say," Maris breathed, "but she called me Half Moon." Arden froze. "Half Moon?" He lifted her chin, forcing her to meet his eyes. "That means you carry both bloodlines, Silvercrest and Bloodfang." She shook her head. "That's impossible." "It's forbidden," he said quietly. "Your mother broke the oldest law we have." He stood, pacing, his expression stormy. "No wonder Thorn wants you. If the Pax ever found out, they'd kill me." Her voice cracked, but there was no fear in it, only resignation. Arden turned, his gaze burning. "Not while I'm Alpha." His tone was fierce, protective. "If anyone touches you, they answer to me." Her heart ached at the words. "Why would you risk everything for me?" His jaw tightened. "Because the moon doesn't choose twice. When you fell asleep on me that night, it wasn't an accident." The words hung between them, fragile as breath. Maris stared at him, stunned. "You think the moon chose me?" "I don't think," he said. "I feel it." He stepped closer until his shadow swallowed hers. "I felt it when your head touched my shoulder." Peace. For the first time since Naira died. His voice softened. "You woke something I thought I'd buried." Maris's throat constricted. "And if the pack finds out?" "Then let them rage," he said. "I'd rather face their fury than a lifetime of silence." She wanted to speak, to deny it, but his truth was too raw, too human. For a heartbeat, the world felt still. Two souls standing beneath the same impossible moon, their breaths weaving into the night. Then Maven's voice rang out from the trees, sharp and urgent. "Alpha!" Arden turned instantly, instincts flaring. Maven emerged, her cloak fluttering. The council summons you. Now. Her eyes found Maris, full of warning. And you, child, must stay hidden. They've heard rumors. Arden hesitated. What kind of rumors? Maven's expression darkened. That the Bloodfang Alpha left something behind after the raid. A mark. Maris's hand flew to her shoulder. Beneath her skin, faint heat pulsed where Thorn's gaze had lingered. They think it's you, Maven whispered. Arden's jaw hardened. Then they'll learn to keep their suspicions to themselves. He turned to Maris, his voice low. Stay near Maven. Don't leave her sight. His eyes softened, the alpha fading for a moment to the man beneath. I'll come back for you. And with that, he vanished into the darkness, his scent fading with the wind. When he was gone, Maven turned to Maris, her face grave. He's risking everything for you, girl. He shouldn't, Maris said quietly. He's the alpha. He has to protect the pack. And yet the moon chose differently. Maven touched her cheek gently. It never chooses safe paths, Maris. Only the ones that change everything. Maris looked up at the moon, round, bright, indifferent. Then what happens when they find out who I really am? Maven's voice was barely a whisper. Then the pack will burn, or it will be reborn. And beneath that silver sky, Maris Winter finally understood that fate had already chosen which it would be. By dawn, Silvercrest was not the same. Smoke rose from the eastern ridge, where the Bloodfangs had crossed the night before, but the real fire burned in the pack's heart. Fear. Rumors spread faster than light. Whispers that the Alpha had protected a cursed girl, that a healer carried Bloodfang blood, that the moon's mark was a lie. Maris Winter stayed inside Maven's hut, her fingers tightening around the pendant until her palm ached. Outside, footsteps marched toward the Hall of Stone, where the Council of Seven would decide her fate. Through the cracks in the wooden shutters, she saw wolves gathering, their faces a mix of curiosity and contempt. They think I'm dangerous, she whispered. Maven stirred her cauldron without looking up. You are, she said softly. Just not in the way they think. Maris turned to her. I never wanted this. The moon never asks what we want, Maven replied. It asks who we'll become. A sharp knock rattled the door. Taryn Holt, the guard captain, stepped in. His eyes were cold as river stones. The council summons her. Maven rose immediately, stepping between them. She's not ready. The council doesn't wait on healers, Taryn said, or orphans. His gaze flicked to Maris, especially ones with enemy blood. Maris's breath caught, but she forced herself to stand. Then I'll go, she said. Maven's fingers brushed hers briefly, a quiet blessing. Whatever happens, don't let them see your fear. Maris nodded and followed Taryn through the village. The world seemed sharper, crueler now. Wolves she'd grown up treating for fevers, and burns turned away from her. Children were pulled behind their mothers. The air carried her name like a curse. Maris Winter, Half Moon. At the Hall of Stone, the great doors opened with a groan that echoed into her bones. Inside, the council waited in a semicircle of carved thrones, the fire pit at their center casting long shadows. Arden stood at the front, his back straight, his presence filling the chamber. His amber eyes flicked toward her. Not warmth, not pity, but something between the two. High Priest Arian spoke first, his voice like sandpaper. You bring before us a girl accused of bearing mixed blood, a violation of the oldest law. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Arden's voice cut through them, low but steady. She is no threat to the pack. That is not your decision alone, Counselor Varick said. If she carries Bloodfang lineage, the moon's favor on you may turn to plague. She saved lives last night, Arden countered. Corin Hale would be dead if not for her. Perhaps that's what makes her dangerous, Varick said. The council's laughter was cold. Arian's eyes fell on Maris. Step forward. She obeyed, her feet barely feeling the stone floor. Tell us, Yaldinyaput, he said. What are you? Maris lifted her chin, meeting his gaze. I'm a healer. I belong to Silvercrest. Arian smiled faintly, like a man humoring a child. And yet, when the moon's stone called your blood, it showed fire. Her throat tightened. I didn't ask for it. No, said Varric, but it's inside you. That's the danger. What happens when Bloodfang rage and Silvercrest duty collide? It won't, she whispered, because I choose who I am. The council laughed again, except for Arian, whose expression turned thoughtful. Perhaps, he said, but the moon tests what we claim to be. He turned to Arden. You defend her fiercely. Is there more between you than protection? The hall grew still. Arden's jaw clenched. That's irrelevant. On the contrary, Arian said smoothly, the moon binds mates through instinct. Perhaps you've mistaken fate for pity. A muscle ticked in Arden's cheek. You overstep. Do I? Arian's voice lowered. Then why does her scent cling to you like rain on stone? The silence shattered like glass. Whispers exploded across the chamber. Arden's control wavered, his aura flaring. Enough. The word thundered against the walls. You forget who leads this pack. Arian didn't flinch. Then lead, Alpha. Prove your loyalty. End the question of her blood here and now. Maris's stomach turned cold. What do you mean? A test, Arian said simply. Drink from the moon's chalice. If you are pure Silvercrest, the liquid will remain clear. If your blood is tainted, he smiled thinly, it will burn. Maven's voice echoed in Maris's memory. Don't let them see your fear. She stepped forward before Arden could protest. I'll do it. Arden turned to her, eyes fierce. Maris, no. If I don't, they'll never stop. Her hand brushed his briefly, a whisper of connection, of trust, before she faced the chalice. The high priest lifted it toward her. The liquid shimmered like moonlight itself. She raised it to her lips and drank. For a moment, nothing happened. Then pain, white-hot, searing, shot through her chest. She gasped, the cup falling from her hands, shattering on the stone. Her knees buckled. Fire streaked through her veins, her vision blurring. Arden caught her before she hit the ground, shouting her name. The council recoiled as a strange light bled from her skin, half silver, half red, swirling like liquid flame. The air hummed with ancient power. Then, as suddenly as it began, the light vanished. Maris lay trembling in Arden's arms, her breathing shallow but steady. The hall was silent. She lives, Varric whispered, stunned. Arian's eyes were wide. The chalice did not burn her, he said, voice unsteady. Nor did it stay clear. Arden's gaze hardened. It recognized her. He looked to the council. The moon does not make mistakes. If she carries both bloods, then perhaps that is her purpose. The council exchanged uncertain glances. Finally, Arian sighed. The girl may stay, under watch. His tone carried warning. But if her presence brings war, her blood will answer for it. Arden rose, lifting Maris gently. If war comes, it will find me first. He carried her from the hall as whispers followed like ghosts. Outside, the cold air bit his skin, but he barely felt it. Maris stirred weakly in his arms. Did I pass? She whispered. He looked down at her, a rare softness in his eyes. You survived. That's more than most ever do. As dawn broke over Silvercrest, painting the mountains in pale fire, Arden knew something had changed, not just in her, but in the world itself. The moon had shown its verdict, and it was neither blessing nor curse. It was beginning. The fever came with the sunrise. Maris Winter woke drenched in sweat, her heart hammering like a trapped bird. The walls of Maven's hut wavered in her vision, the air thick and humming with unseen energy. She tried to sit up, but pain speared through her chest, sharp, electric, alive. The moment her hand touched the pendant at her throat, the world shifted. She saw flashes again. Fire, wolves, a man with eyes the color of frost whispering her name. She gasped, clutching at her ribs. Easy, Maven murmured, pressing a cool cloth to her forehead. The chalice awakened something inside you. 2 bloodlines fighting to rule one body. Make it stop, Maris pleaded. I can't. Maven's tone was grim. This isn't sickness, child. It's claiming. Maris blinked through tears. Claiming? The moon doesn't only choose mates through the heart, Maven said. It binds them through blood and spirit. The Alpha's mark has already begun. Arden entered then, his shadow filling the doorway. His eyes were rimmed with exhaustion, his shirt torn, his hands streaked with dirt and dried blood. But when he saw her, something in his face changed, softened. You're awake, he said quietly. Maven rose, giving him a long, knowing look. You shouldn't be here. Then stop me, he replied, his tone low and dangerous. Maven sighed and stepped aside. Arden knelt by Maris's bedside, brushing damp hair from her face. You shouldn't have drunk from that chalice. If I hadn't, they would have killed me. And now? His voice trembled with restraint. Now they'll come for you in different ways. Her lips curved weakly. You sound almost worried. He looked at her then. Really looked, and something raw flickered in his eyes. Almost? She tried to laugh, but the sound broke into a wince. The fever pulsed harder. Arden, she whispered, I feel him, the other Alpha, in my head. His expression darkened. Thorn. Her eyes fluttered shut. He's calling. Then you won't answer, Arden said firmly. Do you understand me? She nodded, barely conscious. He brushed his thumb over her wrist, grounding her, anchoring her to the present. But as he touched her, his body stiffened. A jolt surged between them. Not pain, not pleasure, something deeper. His breath caught, and for a heartbeat they shared the same pulse. He saw what she saw, the fire, the woman running, the half-moon carved into a child's skin. He tore his hand away, staring at her in shock. The bond, he whispered. Maven's voice came from the corner, quiet but certain. It's complete. That's impossible, Arden said. She's not. Not your mate? Maven's eyes met his. Tell that to the moon. The air crackled with unspoken truth. Maris opened her eyes slowly. What bond? Arden turned to her, struggling for words. When the moon chooses a pair, it ties their spirits. What one feels, the other mirrors. She swallowed hard. Then, if I'm hurt, I feel it, he finished. And if you die, I follow. The words silenced them all. Maven's face paled. You must keep this hidden. The council would see it as treason. An Alpha bound to a half-blood? They'd tear the pack apart. Arden's jaw tightened. Then we'll give them no reason to find out. He stood, running a hand through his hair. I'll keep her safe, whatever it takes. You can't protect her from destiny, Maven said. You can only delay it. But Arden didn't answer. He turned and strode out into the blinding sunlight, his wolf restless beneath his skin. The forest called to him, urging violence, control, silence, anything to drown out the echo of her heartbeat in his chest. When he reached the ridge overlooking the valley, he shifted, bones cracking, muscles rippling, and the black wolf leapt into the trees. His growl shook the earth. Below, scouts whispered of his fury, calling it the Alpha's wrath. None knew the truth. That it wasn't rage that drove him, but fear. Fear of losing her. Meanwhile, inside the hut, Maris sat upright, trembling. He's gone, she said. Maven nodded. He needs distance. But I can still feel him, Maris whispered, like a string pulling in my chest. That string will only tighten, Maven warned. The bond is sealed. It will draw you toward him even in death. Maris clutched the pendant. And Thorn? If he truly carries your bloodline, Maven said, then the bond threatens his claim. Bloodfangs do not share what they consider theirs. Maris shuddered. He said I awaken his curse. Perhaps you awaken everyone's, Maven murmured. She moved closer, cupping Maris's face gently. Listen to me. Bonds can bless or destroy, but only you decide which. The Alpha may be your destiny, but destiny bends to will. Maris met her gaze. Then I'll fight it. Fight what? The pull, the prophecy, all of it. Her voice strengthened. If my blood caused this war, maybe it can end it too. Maven studied her a long moment, then smiled faintly. Spoken like your mother. Night fell fast that day, smothering Silvercrest in quiet dread. Patrols tripled. Fires burned low. In the distance, thunder rolled. Or maybe it was growling. Maris couldn't tell anymore. She stood outside the hut, the air cold against her fever-warmed skin. The pendant pulsed faintly, reflecting the moon overhead. Half full now, suspended between light and shadow. Half moon. Her name. Her curse. She closed her eyes, reaching for calm. Instead, a voice brushed her mind. Smooth, velvet, familiar. Little moon. Her eyes flew open. You can hear me, the voice continued. The bond isn't the only one you carry. Thorn, she breathed. His chuckle rippled through her like a cold wind. He marked you with his blood the night of the raid. Didn't you wonder why you could feel him? You're lying. Am I? His tone turned soft. He can't save you from what you are, Maris. But I can. Before she could answer, a hand gripped her shoulder. She turned. Arden stood behind her, eyes burning gold, jaw tight. Who were you talking to? He demanded. No one, she said too quickly. He stepped closer, his aura radiating anger and worry alike. Don't lie to me. You wouldn't believe me if I told you. Try me. She swallowed hard. Thorn spoke to me, in my head. His expression hardened. Then the Bloodfangs know you're bound. I didn't let him in. It doesn't matter. If he can reach you, he can find you. His voice dropped to a growl. And I won't let that happen. She met his gaze, defiant. You can't fight what's inside me. His jaw clenched. Watch me. The air between them hummed with tension, heavy, charged. Two forces colliding, neither willing to yield. And though neither spoke it aloud, both knew the truth. The bond wasn't just power. It was the beginning of war. The rain came without warning. Sheets of it poured through the forest, drowning scent and sound alike. Patrol horns wailed in the distance. 3 short blasts, the signal for intrusion. Maris Winter stood at the edge of the clearing, her cloak clinging to her shoulders, her pulse quickening with every echoing cry. The night before, she had dreamed of fire again. Only this time, the flames had taken shape. Wolves made of light circling her, whispering one word over and over. Choose. She hadn't understood then. She did now. The Bloodfangs had returned. Silvercrest warriors sprinted through the trees, their eyes flashing in the dark. From the hilltop, the great horn sounded again, deeper, closer. They're inside the borders. Maven's words from earlier spun through her head. If Thorn reaches you before Arden does, one of them won't live to see sunrise. She turned toward the sound of the commotion, Geishampan, and froze. Cornhale stood there, rain slicking his dark hair to his forehead, sword drawn. You can't be here, he hissed. The council's ordered you to stay hidden. I can help, Mira said, stepping closer. I can heal. You can make things worse. His tone cut deep. The pack already thinks you're cursed. She stared at him. And you? I think, he said after a pause, you should have stayed asleep that night. The words hit like a slap. You blame me for this? I blame you for changing him, Corrin snapped. Arden's not the alpha I swore to follow. He's weaker now, distracted. His eyes flicked over her face, full of bitter longing. And it's because of you. She shook her head. You don't understand, don't I? He whispered. What? You have no idea what it's like watching him choose someone who shouldn't exist. Before she could answer, a sharp whistle sliced through the air. The Bloodfang signal. Corrin stiffened. They're here. Then fight with me, she pleaded. But something in his eyes broke. I can't. He lowered his sword slightly. You need to go. Now. He turned to run, but stopped mid-step, shoulders tense. Maris, if they find out I warned you, I'm dead. Then come with me, He gave a pained smile. Some of us don't get second chances. Then he vanished into the rain. Maris stood trembling, heart pounding. Every instinct screamed at her to run, yet the bond inside her tugged, not toward safety, but toward Arden. She could feel him, anger, blood, betrayal. He was fighting. She sprinted through the downpour, mud splashing beneath her feet, branches clawing her skin. The storm drowned everything until she reached the northern ridge. There, under the shattered trees, she saw them, Arden and Thorn, two alphas locked in a storm of teeth and fury. Lightning flashed, painting the scene in silver, claws slashing, eyes blazing, blood dark against the rain. The earth shook with their rage. Maris screamed his name, but neither heard. They were beyond words now, bound by history and hate. "Stop!" she cried, running forward, but something grabbed her from behind. Serene Lorne. Her cousin's golden hair clung to her face, her eyes wild. "You idiot," Serene hissed. "You don't step between wolves." "Let me go." Maris struggled, but Serene's grip tightened. "I told them you'd ruin everything. Now look." She gestured toward the fighting alphas. "Two packs will die because you couldn't stay asleep." Maris froze. "You told them?" "Of course I did," Serene spat. "The council wanted proof of your bloodline. I gave it to them. You're half Bloodfang, and they'll use it to take Arden down." Maris stared at her, horror spreading through her chest. "You betrayed me." Serene's smile was small and cruel. "No, cousin. I saved us all." Maris ripped free, fury blazing through her. "You don't know what you've done." "I know exactly," Serene sneered. "Once Arden's gone, the pack will need a new Luna, a pure one." Maris's breath caught. "You." Serene's grin widened. "Finally, you understand." The rain roared harder. Below them, the battle reached its peak. Thorn's claws raked Arden's side, and the alpha staggered, blood streaking down his ribs. Maris's scream tore from her throat before she could stop it, and as it did, the bond ignited. Pain lanced through her body, mirroring his. She fell to her knees, clutching her chest, gasping. "Maris!" Arden's voice, raw and broken, cut through the storm. For a heartbeat, he faltered, and Thorn struck. The world seemed to slow. Thorn's claws slashed deep across Arden's back, sending him crashing to the ground. "No!" Maris cried, struggling to her feet. Her hands glowed faintly, silver light breaking through her skin. Serene stumbled backward. "What are you—" But Maris didn't hear. She ran. She threw herself between them, light flaring around her like a shield. Thorn stopped mid-strike, eyes narrowing. "So it's true," he said. "You carry both bloods." Arden growled weakly behind her. "Don't touch her." Thorn tilted his head. "Still protecting her, even as she bleeds your strength dry." "She's not yours," Arden rasped. "She's no one's." Maris turned on him, tears mixing with rain. "Don't say that." "You'll die if you stay," he said. "So will you," she whispered. The glow around her pulsed brighter, the storm itself seeming to still. Thorn stepped back, wary. "What are you doing?" She closed her eyes. "Ending this." She raised her hands, the pendant at her throat blazing white. The air screamed. The ground split. For a moment, the rain stopped altogether. A blinding light erupted, throwing Thorn backward. When it faded, he was gone, vanished into the forest shadow. Maris collapsed. Arden caught her before she hit the mud. "Maris," he whispered, shaking her. Her lashes fluttered weakly. "Did I stop him?" "For now." His voice cracked. "But at what cost?" She smiled faintly. "Maybe the moon finally listened." He pressed his forehead against hers, trembling. "Don't ever do that again." "Then stop making me." Her voice was barely a breath. He let out a sound somewhere between a laugh and a sob. The bond between them thrummed like a living thing. Steady, alive. But behind them, in the distance, a howl rose. Not Thorn's, another's. Dozens more joined it. The Bloodfangs were calling to war. Serene's face turned pale. "You've doomed us all," she whispered. Arden's eyes blazed gold as he lifted Maris in his arms. "No," he said. his voice low and deadly. She just gave us something to fight for. The storm swallowed his words, but the pack would remember them. The night Silvercrest Alpha carried a half-blood Luna through fire and rain, and the howl of betrayal became the beginning of revolution. The world smelled of blood and smoke. The Silvercrest pack gathered beneath the ashen sky, every eye turned toward the wounded Alpha and the girl who had stopped the storm. Maris Winter lay pale in Arden Vale's arms, her pulse faint but steady. The glow that had saved them had burned her from the inside, leaving silver veins spidering across her skin. Around them, the forest still hissed with dying rain. Maven knelt quickly, placing her hands over Maris's chest. "She's fading," the healer muttered. Arden's voice was raw. "Fix her." "You can't fix the moon," Maven said. "You can only ask mercy." He clenched his fists. "Then ask." Maven's gaze softened. "It doesn't work like that." She looked at him, then at the sky. The moon, half shrouded in clouds, seemed to pulse faintly, alive. "It's watching," she whispered. "It always watches." The air shifted. Every wolf bowed instinctively, their instincts screaming. From the forest's edge came a strange sound, a low vibrating hum that made the ground tremble. The light dimmed, and then, without warning, lightning struck the clearing, slamming into the stone altar beside them. Arden shielded Maris with his body, teeth bared. When the flash cleared, something stood among the smoke. A woman of impossible beauty, her hair white as frost, her eyes silver fire. She wore no crown, but power radiated from her like heat. Every wolf dropped to one knee. "The moon's spirit," Maven breathed. The woman smiled faintly. "So many have forgotten how to kneel." Her voice wasn't loud, yet it filled the world. She turned to Arden. "Alpha Vale." His name on her tongue sounded like judgment. "You've broken the law of blood and bond." "I followed the moon," Arden said evenly. "Then why does your heart fight its pull?" she asked, stepping closer. Her gaze slid to Maris. "Half of you burns for her. The other half fears her." Arden's jaw tightened. "I fear nothing." "Lies," the moon spirit said gently. "Even alphas fear the truth." She crouched beside Maris, her silver eyes softening. "She carries the blood of enemies, and yet she saved you." She brushed a hand across Maris's cheek. "Such mercy, and such cost." The silver in Maris's veins pulsed brighter. "She's dying because of you," Arden growled. The spirit met his glare without flinching. "No, she's dying because she tried to be what she is not. The moon gives gifts, Alpha, but they are not without hunger." Maven stepped forward. "What hunger?" "Balance," the spirit said. "Power this strong must be claimed, or consumed." Her gaze flicked between them. "One of you must take the other's burden before the next moonrise. Bond or break." The words struck like thunder. "If you break," she continued, "the bond will shatter, and one will die. If you bind, the packs will fall to war, for nature abhors divided blood." Arden rose slowly, disbelief turning to fury. "You mean to make us choose between life and peace?" "You already have," she said. "The moment she fell asleep on your shoulder, fate began its path." Her eyes softened. "Do not hate it for choosing you." Then, with a breath of wind, she was gone. Nothing left but the faint shimmer of moonlight on wet leaves. The silence afterward was unbearable. Maris stirred weakly, her lips parting. "What happened?" Arden knelt beside her again, his voice breaking. "The moon gave us a choice. Which is? Bond or die." She blinked, dazed. "And the packs? They'll burn if we do." Her faint smile was heartbreaking. "You can't win." "I don't care about winning," he said. "I care about you." She closed her eyes. "Then you'll lose everything else." His hands tightened around hers. "Then let it burn." Hours passed, the forest holding its breath. The pack argued in hushed tones, torn between loyalty and fear. Seren Lorne stood among them, her face pale. "If he bonds her," she whispered to Corin, The council will strip his title. Corin didn't answer. He stared at the ground, guilt gnawing through him. He'd already betrayed Arden once. By leading the Bloodfang scouts into the northern ridge, they'd promised no deaths, only proof of Maris's heritage, but he hadn't expected war. Now, the weight of his silence was unbearable. Maven emerged from the hut. "She sleeps," the healer said, "but not for long. The bond calls." Arden stood apart, eyes fixed on the horizon, where the moon would rise again. When Maven approached, he didn't turn. "If I choose her, they'll come for me." "They already have," she said. "The council meets tonight." He nodded once. "Let them. I've made my decision." Night came sharp and cold. The pack gathered under the great oaks, the moon climbing through the mist like an unblinking eye. Maris stood beside Arden, her hair loose, her pendant glowing softly. The council watched from their seats of stone, their expressions carved from fear and fury. Arian's voice rang out. "Alpha Vale, have you reached your verdict?" Arden's gaze swept the crowd. "I have. And I will not break what the moon has bound." Gasps rippled through the clearing. Varric stood abruptly. "Then you condemn us to war." "No," Arden said. "I condemn us to truth." Arian's eyes narrowed. "Then so be it. Let the moon witness your fall." He raised his staff, its tip blazing with holy fire. The council began to chant, voices merging into a low hum. Maris felt the heat pressing against her skin. "Arden," she whispered, "they'll kill you." "They can try," he said. Then he turned toward her. "Do you trust me?" She hesitated, only a heartbeat. "With everything I am." "Then don't let go." He clasped her hands, and the world exploded in light. The moon above blazed brighter than ever before, its glow pouring down like silver rain. The chant faltered. The fire went out. The air itself trembled. The bond surged. No longer a string between them, but a storm. Wolves dropped to their knees, blinded. Maven covered her eyes. "He's doing it," she whispered. He's choosing." When the light finally dimmed, Arden and Maris stood bathed in silver. His mark, once faint, now glowed across her collarbone, hers across his heart. The bond was sealed, but peace did not follow. From the forest came a new sound, 1,000 howls answering the moon's wrath. The Bloodfangs had arrived. At their head, Thornvex stood beneath the trees, his silver eyes burning. "You've made your choice, brother," he called. "Now face the war it brings." Arden stepped forward, eyes gleaming gold in the moonlight. "Then let it begin." The valley burned by midnight. The war between Silvercrest and Bloodfang had begun. Flames clawed up the pine trunks, painting the sky in violent orange. Wolves clashed in the darkness, their howls merging with the roar of fire. Every breath was smoke and blood. Ardenvale stood at the front lines, his black wolf tearing through enemies with terrifying precision, golden eyes blazing like dying suns. The bond in his chest pulsed with Maris's heartbeat, faint, fast, frightened. She was somewhere behind the ridge, Maven's protection spell barely holding, but he felt her pain as if it were his own. Every cut he took echoed in her veins. Every scream that tore through the trees stabbed him twice. This was the price of their bond. Unity through agony. At the rear of the field, Maris knelt beside the wounded, her hands glowing silver. Her healing gift burned now, fueled by something deeper than will. Love, desperation, the need to keep him alive. "Hold still," she told a soldier as she sealed a gash along his arm. But her mind wasn't here. It was with him. "Arden, please, come back to me." For a moment she swore she felt him answer, "Always." Then the air shifted, cold and wrong. Shadows moved between the trees. Thornvex emerged from the smoke, untouched by flame. His white hair was soaked with blood that wasn't his own. "Little half moon," he said, voice low. "Even in chaos, you shine." Maris stood slowly, hands trembling but ready. "Don't call me that." "Why not? It suits you." "Half light, half dark. Half mine, half his." She took a step back, her pulse racing. "This isn't your war anymore." Thorn smiled sadly. Oh, but it is. You think your bond erased my claim? His eyes glowed pale silver. My blood runs through you. The bond only ties us closer. Her breath hitched. You're lying. Am I? He raised his hand, and the pendant at her throat flickered, glowing faintly. Your mother carried my mark before she fled. You're proof of it. Her world tilted. No. You carry her gift and her curse. He stepped closer. I didn't come to kill you, Maris. I came to remind you what you are. I'm not like you. Then why does the fire obey you? He gestured toward the flames. To her horror, the inferno bent, twisting toward her like a living thing. She stumbled back, fear surging. Stop it, she cried. I can't, Thorn said softly. Because you can. The fire surged around them, circling her like a crown. Its heat didn't burn. It listened. It knew her. Her pendant flared, feeding the glow. Maris fell to her knees, eyes wide. What's happening? You're awakening, Thorn said. The moon's blood and mine were never meant to mix. You're the bridge, the fire between wolves. His tone softened. You can end this, Maris. Stop fighting who you are. Her tears sizzled on her skin. You want me to destroy them? I want you to unite them, he said. But to do that, one alpha must fall. Her heart twisted. You mean Arden? He's the moon's choice, not yours. He knelt, his voice low. Choose me and I'll spare them all. Choose him and the fire won't stop until both packs are ash. She stared at him, trembling. You killed my mother. No, he said softly. I loved her. The moon killed her for choosing the wrong alpha. Don't make her mistake. Behind them, a howl shattered the air. Arden. His wolf form broke through the fire line, his coat blackened with ash, his golden eyes blazing with fury. Get away from her, he roared, shifting mid-stride. Thorn stood, smiling faintly. Perfect timing. Arden's claws extended, dripping with blood. You'll regret touching her. I already do, Thorn murmured. Then the world exploded. They collided with the force of thunder, claws and teeth flashing in. Firelight! Maris screamed, the bond ripping through her with each blow they traded. Every wound Arden took split her skin. Every strike Thorn landed seared her heart. Stop! She cried, but neither heard. They were beyond reason, two forces of destiny clashing for the soul of the same woman. She stumbled forward, silver light bursting from her palms. Enough! The blast sent both men flying. The flames around them froze midair, suspended in glowing fragments. She stood trembling between them, her eyes glowing silver. I won't let the moon choose for me anymore, she said. I'm done being a mark on someone's destiny. Arden rose slowly, pain and pride warring in his gaze. Maris, no, she said, voice steady. You said you'd follow me into fire, then listen. She turned to Thorn. And you said I could unite them, then stop making me destroy what's left. The two alphas stared at her, breathing hard, the storm between them shifting to silence. If I carry both bloods, Maris continued, then I'll end this with both hands. No more pack wars, no more laws that punish love. Her glow brightened. The flames bent toward her, swirling into a sphere of molten light. If the moon wants a sacrifice, it can take me. Arden's face twisted with horror. No. He reached for her, but it was too late. The light engulfed her completely. For a moment, the world was still. Then the fire vanished. The battlefield lay quiet. No smoke, no flame, no scent of blood. Only ash and silence. Arden fell to his knees, his body trembling, his heart screaming through the bond. Maris. No answer. Maven ran toward him, tears streaking her face. She's gone, the healer whispered. The fire took her. But Arden shook his head. No, he said hoarsely. She's not gone. I can still feel her. Thorn stood a few paces away, his expression unreadable. She's become what she was born to be, he said. The bridge. He turned toward the forest. The war ends tonight. If you're lying, Arden began, but Thorn cut him off. You'll see soon enough." Then he disappeared into the shadows, leaving only the echo of his footsteps. The moon broke through the clouds, silver light falling over the battlefield. Arden looked up, his heart aching. The bond inside him pulsed once, faint, fragile, then went still. He whispered her name again and again into the quiet night until his voice broke. Maven knelt beside him, her old hands shaking. "The moon's wrath is done," she murmured. "Now comes its judgment." And as the first dawn rays touched the valley, a single whisper stirred the ashes. Soft, trembling, unmistakable. "Arden." The ashes stirred again. Ardenvale froze. The word he'd thought he imagined, his name, came again, faint but clear. "Arden." The sound sliced through the silence like dawn breaking after years of darkness. Maven gasped, dropping to her knees beside the mound of gray dust that had once been fire. The ground trembled softly beneath them. A pulse, then another. From within the ashes, light began to bloom. Not flame this time, but a soft, rhythmic glow, as if the earth itself were breathing. Arden reached forward, his fingers trembling. "Maris," he whispered. The light brightened, blinding. The ash lifted, scattering into the air, and in its place, a figure slowly took shape. Cloaked in silver, skin glowing faintly, hair streaked with white like moonlight woven through shadow. Maris Winter stood where the fire had devoured her. Barefoot, alive, changed. Her eyes opened. They were no longer simply gray. They shimmered between silver and gold, flickering like molten metal. The pack, those who still lived, fell silent. No one moved. She looked down at her hands. They no longer trembled. Power rippled beneath her skin, steady and calm. "What?" She swallowed hard. "What happened?" Maven's voice broke. "You were taken by the moon, and it gave you back." Maris turned toward Arden. He couldn't speak. He'd fought beasts and bled for days, but this sight, made his knees weak. "You came back," he managed. She tilted her head, a faint dazed smile on her lips. "You didn't think I'd leave you to clean up this mess alone, did you?" He almost laughed, but then he saw it. Behind her, faint and flickering, hovered a ring of light, the mark of the moon's chosen. The wolves began to murmur, fear mixing with awe. "She's no longer human," someone whispered. "She's the moon's child now." Another voice answered, trembling. "She's the bridge." Maris turned toward them, her voice carrying like wind over water. "No," she said softly. "I'm both. That's why I'm still here." Her gaze found Arden's. "Because you wouldn't let me go." His chest tightened. He took a step closer, but she stopped him with a gentle look. "Don't," she whispered. "I can't touch you yet. The fire's still inside me." He froze. "You're in pain?" "No," she said, her tone oddly peaceful. "Just awake." She glanced around, taking in the destruction, the charred earth, the wounded scattered across the valley. "So much death," she whispered. "It has to end, Arden. Tonight." He knew that tone. There was no changing her mind. "How?" he asked quietly. "Thorn still commands what's left of Bloodfang. He'll never stop." Maris looked up at the moon, half-shadowed now, glowing red at its edge. "He doesn't have to stop," she said. "He just has to see." She turned to Maven. "Prepare the circle. We end this under the moon's eye." Maven hesitated. "You mean to summon him?" "Yes." "That's madness." "No," Maris said, her gaze steady. "It's mercy." She looked at Arden. "He deserves the truth as much as we do." He stepped closer, fighting the ache in his chest. "And if he refuses it, then the moon will decide for him." She turned away before he could argue. Her confidence terrified him more than any battle ever had. By midnight, the clearing was ready. The circle of stones glowed faintly, carved runes pulsing with silver light. The survivors of Silvercrest gathered on the outer rim, wary but curious. The air was heavy, waiting. Maven stood beside Maris, chanting in the old tongue. The ground shimmered once, twice, then split with a whisper. From the darkness beyond, Thornbeck stepped into the light. His clothes were torn, his face streaked with soot, but his eyes burned cold and clear. "So the moon's chosen lives," he said quietly. "I should have known." "You came," Maris said. "You called," he answered. "You've always called." Arden stepped forward, but Maris raised her hand. "This is between us." "Us?" Thorn laughed softly. "There's no us, little half-moon. Only the mistake your mother made." Maris met his gaze without flinching. "You loved her." His face twitched. "She was mine until the moon took her." "No," Maris said. "You lost her because you couldn't see past blood. Just like now." His expression darkened. "And what do you see, child? 2 packs that have been slaves to the same wound for generations." The glow beneath her skin brightened. "It ends tonight." "By whose hand?" Thorn asked. "Mine," she said softly. She reached forward, touching his chest with 2 fingers. A shudder ran through him. "Do you feel that?" she whispered. "That's not hate. That's what my mother saw in you. The part of you that still remembers peace." Thorn's eyes flickered. For a moment, the alpha's fury wavered, replaced by something like grief. "She said the same," he murmured. "And I didn't listen." "Then listen now," Maris said. "Call off your wolves." He hesitated, torn between pride and memory. "They'll never follow a Silvercrest." "Then they'll follow the moon," she said, stepping back. She raised her hands, and the pendant at her throat flared. Light poured from her, flooding the clearing, washing over every wolf, Bloodfang and Silvercrest alike. For a heartbeat, all were blind. Then the light faded, leaving silence. When their vision cleared, they saw it. Every wolf's mark, both packs, glowing the same color. No more silver, no more red, only white, pure and unbroken. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Thorn fell to his knees. "What have you done?" he whispered. "Balanced us," Maris said. "The moon's curse is over." But balance had a price. Her light flickered. She swayed, her breath catching. Arden caught her before she fell. "Maris!" Her skin was cold, her glow fading fast. "No," he said. "No, not again." She smiled faintly, eyes half-lidded. "Don't cry, Alpha. I told you I'd end it." "Stay with me," he begged. "You can't leave now." "I'm not leaving," she whispered. "I'm just going where the moon sleeps." Her hand brushed his cheek. "You'll lead them now. Both packs. Together." Her eyes found Thorn's one last time. "Promise me peace." Thorn bowed his head, tears streaking his face. "I swear it, Half-Moon." Her body went still, the last shimmer of silver light slipping from her lips like breath. The forest bowed in silence. Arden pressed his forehead against hers, his tears falling into her hair. "You kept your promise," he whispered. "Now I'll keep mine." The moon above brightened, full again, radiant and whole, as if mourning her with its own light. The war was over, the bridge had held. Morning came quietly, as if afraid to disturb what the night had left behind. The valley, once a wound of flame and fury, now lay still beneath a shroud of pale mist. The scent of ash clung to the air, but so did something new. Peace. The war cries had fallen silent. The wolves of Silvercrest and Bloodfang stood side by side among the ruins, wary but no longer enemies. And at the heart of it all, Arden Vale knelt beside a mound of freshly turned earth beneath the great oak. A single pendant, silver half-moon shaped, lay atop the soil. He hadn't slept since she'd gone. He didn't need to. The bond had gone quiet, but not gone. He could still feel her, distant, like a heartbeat beneath the earth. Maven stood a few steps behind, her old hands clasped. "She did it," she whispered. 2 packs, 1 piece. Arden's voice was rough. "And the cost?" Maven's eyes softened. "The moon always takes what it gives, but sometimes it returns it in another form." He looked up at her, hollow-eyed. "What do you mean?" Maven's gaze turned toward the rising sun. "The moon's children never truly die. They change." She knelt, pressing her palm to the soil. The earth pulsed faintly, glowing where her fingers touched. See? She's still listening. Arden's throat tightened. Then why can't I hear her? Because you're listening with grief, Maven said gently, not with faith. She rose and placed a hand on his shoulder. Come, Alpha. The packs await you. But he didn't move. Tell them I'll come soon. Maven hesitated, then nodded and left him there beneath the oak. When he was alone, Arden closed his eyes. The wind whispered through the branches, soft as breath. You kept your promise. His eyes flew open. Maris? The voice was faint but real, carried on the morning air. I told you I wouldn't leave. He swallowed hard, scanning the trees. Where are you? The wind stirred again. Everywhere you still fight for peace. He rose slowly, looking toward the horizon where the two packs gathered. Thorn stood at their center, his silver hair shining faintly in the new light. He turned when Arden approached. Vale, he said quietly. You have my word. No more blood. Arden nodded. And you have mine. They clasped forearms, not as rivals, but as brothers bound by loss. She changed everything, Thorn murmured. She did, Arden said. Now it's our turn to make sure it stays that way. He turned to the gathered wolves. Their faces were tired, scarred, uncertain. We've lost too much to keep fighting ghosts, he said, his voice carrying through the valley. The moon didn't curse us with different blood. We did that to ourselves. But from this day forward, we are one. One pack, one law. Silence met his words. Then, slowly, one wolf knelt, then another and another, until the entire valley bowed. For the first time in generations, two packs howled together, their voices rising not in war, but in mourning and unity. The sound carried for miles, echoing through the mountains, through the forests, even through the river valley where the ashes of fire had fallen. Above them, the half-moon hung faint in the morning light, a quiet reminder of the girl who'd bridged its shadow and flame. When the howling faded, Arden turned back toward the oak. I hope you hear them, he murmured. Your peace, not mine. He started back toward the camp, but something caught his eye, a shimmer near the base of the tree. He paused. The air rippled faintly, like heat above stone. Then, slowly, a figure took shape in the light, not solid but luminous, woven of moonlight and memory. Maris stood there, barefoot, her hair loose, her eyes soft. You're not supposed to be here, he whispered. She smiled faintly. Neither are you. He took a step closer, but his hand passed through her like mist. You're not gone, she said gently. Just different. He swallowed hard. You shouldn't have done it. Someone had to. It should have been me. She shook her head. The moon didn't need another wolf sacrifice. It needed hope. You can give them that. Her smile trembled. I knew you'd be stubborn about it. His chest tightened. I can't lead without you. You can, she said softly, because you're not leading alone. Every time you look at the moon, I'll be there. Every time you choose mercy over power, I'll be there. Every time a pup learns that the word half isn't shame, I'll be there. Her form flickered, light bending around her. Don't look for me in dreams, Arden. Look for me in peace. I'll never forget you. Don't, she said, but don't stop living either. He tried to speak, but the words failed. She reached out one last time, her fingers brushing his cheek like wind. Goodbye, Alpha. No, he whispered. Good night, half moon. The light faded. The valley brightened. For a long time he stood there, eyes closed, listening to the world breathe again. When he opened them, the horizon had changed. Wolves, rebuilding homes together, Bloodfang healers tending Silvercrest wounded, pups from both packs chasing one another through the mist. Maven approached, leaning on her staff. She's gone, she said quietly. Arden nodded. No, he murmured. She's here. Just not where I can see. He turned toward the mountain ridge where the first rays of sun broke over the peaks. Tell the pack we'll meet tonight under the full moon. For what? Maven asked. He smiled faintly. To tell them her story. That night, as the new moon rose, the packs gathered once more. Fires burned low, warm and peaceful. Arden stood before them, holding the half-moon pendant in his hand. His voice was steady. Once there was a girl who fell asleep on an alpha's shoulder during the mating ceremony, he began, and quiet laughter rippled through the crowd. The pack thought it was shame. The moon thought it was destiny. He looked up at the stars, then back at the faces of his people. She taught us that blood doesn't define family. Choice does. And love, when it's real, doesn't end in fire. It begins there. He lifted the pendant high. From this night forward, the Silvercrest and Bloodfanger won, the pack of the half-moon. A cheer rose, echoing through the valley, rolling like thunder. And as they howled beneath the moon's silver gaze, a soft breeze swept through the clearing, carrying the faintest whisper, always. Arden closed his eyes, smiling through the ache. The war was over. The packs were won. The moon was whole. And though she was gone, her light would never fade. Not from the forest, not from the world, and not from him. Because some love stories don't end when the fire dies. They begin in the ashes. And that was during the mating ceremony I fell asleep on the alpha's strong shoulders, shocking the entire pack. If your heart's still racing right now, take a second, breathe. Now tell me in the comments, which moment hit you the hardest? When Maris fell asleep on Arden's shoulder? When she sacrificed herself for peace? Or when she came back as the moon's bridge? I read every single one of your thoughts. And trust me, your theories, your emotions, your favorite lines, they keep this story alive. And if you want more stories like this, more forbidden love, more fire, more destiny, then don't just watch, subscribe, because the next story I'm about to tell will break your heart and rebuild it all over again. Until next time, keep your claws sharp, your heart wild, and your moonlight close. This is your storyteller signing off. See you in the next story.